Do you want a pros in the wild story?
Sure do.
Cool. I've got a really good listener inquiry that he needs our feedback on, but I'm going to save it for next week just because we're dealing with the internet issues here. So maybe go for an abbreviated show. But this pros in the wild is pretty solid.
Great.
Listener writes in and says, I can't remember the exact year, but it was during the Kelly and Andy rivalry era. My girlfriend and I decided to fly over to Hawaii to watch the Pipe Masters. When the contest was called on, we headed to the beach early in hopes of getting the perfect spot to watch. Anybody who's ever been to Pipe knows that the original Volcom House is as good as it gets in terms of vantage point. Being tourists as we were, the best we could do was plop down on the beach about 5 yards in front of it as we as we stared out to the ocean, watching all the pros warm up and the spectator crowd thicken. A friendly couple carrying their all day beach gear walked past us and set up camp right behind our spot. The couple was Tony and Tammy Moniz. They were now between us and the Volcom House right next to the property. As the contest began and the day moved on, the Volcom House got packed. The patio and the front lawn were full of people. Every North Shore heavy hitter was there. This was obviously during the time of the Wolfpack, and them and all of their friends were at the house getting loose when Kelly Slater's heat happened to hit the water. The grumblings from the lawn started straight away. It was clear there was nobody on Team Kelly standing on that property. During the heat, Slater fell behind and he needed a pretty decent score to make it through in the dying minutes. As was commonplace in those days, he took off on a backdoor closeout, raced it, and got blown out down the line for the score that he needed. When the score was announced, the crowd on the beach let out a huge roar of approval. Well, not all of the crowd. As the roar settled, the folks at the Volcom House started booing and shouting various things to let people know their disappointment. There was one man on the beach that didn't appreciate it very much, and it wasn't Slater. Tony Moniz stood up, turned around to face the house, and he yelled, "Hey, knock it off. He's the champ. He earned it." Keep in mind, he did this from about 3 feet away from the front lawn. It wasn't like somebody mumbling something from the safety of anonymity within the roar of the crowd. You've never seen a bigger group of rowdy tough guys go completely silent so fast. It was crazy. I don't even know if Tony Moniz was a huge fan of Kelly's. He wasn't sitting there cheering for him during the heat. I think he just didn't like the sportsmanship or lack thereof that was on display from the Wolfpack and their friends. Regardless, one thing that was made extremely clear was that there was a definitive food chain in Hawaii, and Tony Moniz was far higher up than anybody at the Volcom House that day. Work.
I love it. That is one of my favorite pros in the wild. The Moniz family, of course, are like living legends, gifts to us all. But that, I mean, the observation, which is, and I would hope the North Shore still has at least some of this. But yeah, like the, I wrote a whole stinking book about it, but the hierarchy is what makes that place so fun, right? Is because you would think, yes, Wolfpack, Volcom House, tip top. But absolutely not. That's just like the ground floor of when you're really going to start getting into, okay, now we have the legends, right? We have the Hoes, we have the Monizes, we have like on and on. And like I remember hearing a story. Uh Shoot, I don't know if I should share, but uh, uh it was somebody, a very, very, very noble Hawaiian, like of the noble lineage. When Eddie Rothman was building his house, the dude would shoot his lights out with a BB gun and just laugh. Where that's what a, yeah, like you would think Eddie Rothman, tip top, but no, there is people much higher up that, and that's what makes the North Shore so great.
That's what I mean. Honestly, the North Shore is just a microcosm of um, a hunter and gatherer society, where there's a limited resource and it serves the community to have a hierarchy and to work for that in concert with one another for that resource. And, but it's one of the only that still exists in that raw way in the modern world, anyways.
I mean, it's so great too that the Tony Monizes and the whatever, the hoes, like the tip top bros, don't have to go punch teeth out. Like they, but and not that they wouldn't. It's not like people, that everybody's like, oh, whatever, these guys aren't rough or can't hold their own. They totally could. They just don't need to. Like you've got the respect.
Well, what I like about it is that the Wolfpack recognizes, like, because it would be easy for one of the Wolfpack young, brash 22-year-olds to try to go toe to toe with Tony, but that's not what it's about. They understand the hierarchy as well. So
Yep.
it's good to see. It's good to see
Great.
all the way around.
Love it. Thank you for the Pro in the Wild submission.